You're listening to The Voice of Reason. I'm Dr. Len Savuto, here with Francesco Garapoli. It's hard to keep up with the news. It seems like every few hours things are changing. And over the last couple of days, there's been a change that's almost shocking when we see that the people who are in charge of the German immunization boards, who are affiliated with Bill and Melinda Gates in the past and have had a lot to do with Gavi, have been working for the pharmaceutical industry with a whole bunch of different organizations like Novartis and GlaxoSmith and Solvay Biologicals. There's a guy named Geert Vanden Bossche who's really hit the news. And I wonder how much of an impact this is going to have. You know, with the censorship the way it is, a big, huge breakthrough, which we'll be talking about in a minute, is massive. It should be getting into every newspaper and every TV channel and all over the net, over the internet. I wonder if it's going to be, well, I wonder if it's going to be censored again. I haven't seen it on the news yet. Have you, Francesco?
No, you talk about all this information coming and it's been so busy, but the average person who watches mainstream media will hear nothing other than all the people getting vaccinated.
Exactly.
And anybody who's willing to look outside it will see a firestorm of incredible information that is critical.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. When you see things like this happening, it blows my mind to see that there's good science out there. When you have somebody who is a vaxxer, there's no question this guy is a vaxxer. Yeah. Come out and say, we got a problem here. We got to do something about stopping people taking this immunization right now, or we're liable to see something like an Armageddon. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah. So I'm inspired that the guy had the courage to do it, first of all, because he's put his reputation on the line. All of his, everything that he's done all these years, he will have little credibility if it turns out that he's not right. And it makes a lot of sense too, because it's a whole new look at what's happened in the vaccine department and about whether or not we should be taking this vaccine. You know, Vicky was just looking at or listening to some of the mainstream news earlier, and she says 27% of America has now had, the adults have had the vaccine. And we got another 25% or so that's going to have it soon. And then there's a few people that are on the fence that don't know what to do. And we're here to try and help people understand both sides of the story, an uncensored viewpoint of it. And that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah. And, you know, it's important to me, and you and I have this discussion about who is listening to what we're sharing here. And this whole intention of this program is to put out a good balanced information and hopefully good scientific information that you might not have heard if you just watched the mainstream, which means CNN, MSNBC, whatever, or if you even Googled it. That's still mainstream nowadays. That's become part of the mainstream news. Facebook, most of that information will call that mainstream, which is the majority of the message. Yeah. If you're watching this program and you're still staying with us right now, it's either because you agree with us, and that means that you want to hear a wide range of information about this important topic called COVID, or you're on the fence. Means you don't exactly agree with what we're saying, but you don't exactly agree with mainstream. That's great. And in actuality, those are the people, Len, that I think we want to speak to. We want to speak to the people who really would like to know more so they can make a good decision. And that's all we're here for, is to help people make a good, grounded, solid, informative decision.
That's absolutely true. And that's what we're going to try and do. When you see the changes that are happening here, and they're based on really good science, and then you see the side that you're really questioning, you know, the mainstream that it's pushing vaccines so hard, something big is happening. So I'm delighted that we have this opportunity tonight.
Yeah, it's critical. And this interview you're talking about was a doctor interviewing a PhD. These are not slouches. These are not eccentric people in the fringe with weird ideas. These are people in the front trenches of what's happening. And why are they motivated to talk? Because they're moved. When you watch this video, and we're going to hopefully put it on drsaputo.com so you can see this video, because you won't see it on YouTube. Trust me, you won't see it anywhere else. and you could make your own decision when you see this PhD who's worked in the vaccine industry for his whole life getting emotional, talking about this vaccine not being the right weapon for the war, not being administered at the right time. I mean, it's very interesting, Len.
Oh, it's totally interesting. Yeah. So I'm really behind this guy, and I'm behind what we've been talking about too. You know, there's no need to start with to have a vaccine when you've got so many people that are surviving the infection, and it's no different than the flu from last year or the year before. The number of people that are dying is no different than we had the year before. The diagnosis is very bogus in lots of ways because we haven't isolated the virus, and the tests that we used from the mouths of the best molecular biologists is a test that should not be used. We don't have the PCR fragment that's being used for the vaccine or for the PCR test. So what are we talking about? It boggles the mind to see how little science there is and what we're moving forward, and then watch America going down the tubes at the same time is a little bit too much. You know, when you see your neighbors losing their jobs, losing their health insurance, and losing their homes, and they're having a hard time staying in their homes, and a lot of people now are in food lines. It's time to make a move and to find some kind of option. We've got a lot on the line here, and we can't any longer acquiesce to what's happening. So when we have a fellow come out and talking about the things that are being talked about now here, it's just we need to pay attention and listen.
Yeah.
We're losing our immune system is what this is boiling down to. So the people who are taking the vaccine are taking a vaccine that works from the point of view that it builds an immunity against a specific virus. And we need that to be able to fight specific cases. But when you don't need a vaccine, you shouldn't use it, especially in the height of a pandemic. Because when we use it in that setting, what happens is we start building up a situation where we're losing our innate immunity at the same time. And the virus is under great pressure to mutate and we're seeing variants coming out all over the place. Now we're going to have another vaccine that's going to come out and further suppress our innate immunity, because it's our innate immunity that is protecting us when we don't have the vaccine. When we don't have either of those, which is inevitable the way things are moving, we're set for a lot of people not able to defend against COVID-19.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
very
really sad.
serious problem.
It is serious. I mean, people are willing to shut down their business. They're willing to stay at home. They're willing to keep their kids out of school if the truth was that that would help society. People have been willing to do this and wear masks because they were told this would help.
Yeah.
The fact is, there is no science to support it. And this is a tough one to say, but you've got to read about it and you've got to look at it. You want to follow your laws. And I know executive orders are enforceable laws by governors. And so we've got to follow these rules, but you got to put pressure on your leaders because these are not good decisions. When you talk to the experts in the field who say lockdowns are precisely why we have the problem now. And now these vaccines are going to be precisely why this virus does not follow its normal, natural epidemiological curve of being eliminated by our amazing, miraculous human genome. This is what we have in our natural killer cells. Our body's immune system has been trained for 1 million years.
Yeah.
Okay. And as Homo sapiens for 40,000 years at least, we have been engaging with coronaviruses.
And they've never been an issue. They've never been an issue.
Right. They peak, people die, compromised immune systems, people who are not healthy, people with comorbidities will die. This is what always happens. People always die, Len, right? We know this.
Well,
the challenge here is we've succumbed to a knee-jerk reaction to fix something that didn't need fixing.
Yeah. Well, it's something that's gotten us in a whole lot of trouble. And look what's happening to all of them, to the world. It's not just the United States. And it's good to see that people are standing up. They're marching all over the world. You probably didn't know this, but there are probably 50 different countries that are marching at this time or planning to say, we're not doing the lockdown anymore. We're tired of this. We're not doing the vaccine because we don't believe in it. And for those people who are taking the vaccine, they're the ones that are going to be in the biggest trouble because their immune systems, their innate immune systems will be shut down by the presence of vaccines that are specific, that are made from a vaccine. Then when we have a new virus variant that comes into existence, you won't have a response, an immune response from the vaccine, because it won't any longer be the same one. And you won't have innate immunity like you've been talking about that we've had for thousands of years. It's always protected us. So it's not a small thing. And for the people who don't take the vaccine, we're at the mercy of the new emerging variants that are going to be more and more virulent, because that's what viruses do when you put the squeeze on them, with a vaccine. And when you're making a lot of them at one time, it causes a kind of pressure on them to up the ante, and they can do that. And when that happens, we're vulnerable. The ones that don't take the vaccines are vulnerable too. So you've got to go back to building your immune system. It's lifestyle. How are you going to have a lifestyle that's healthy? It's diet, exercise, stress reduction, sleep. It's making sure you don't have toxic exposures and you're not overweight. If you do all those things and then you protect yourself with some supplements, as we've talked about so many times in the past, you will be in the best position. And then if people get sick, they are the ones that should be quarantined, not the people who don't have it. We can't let our countries disappear because of a quarantine that's inverted. It's backwards. Never in our history have we quarantined people who are healthy. We've always quarantined the people who are sick. It should stay that way.
Yeah, and by quarantine healthy people, especially young people, you are cheating them out of the opportunity for their immune system to do what it does. This is what keeps us healthy. Right. So first line of defense, like you say, is to build your immune system. We know about vitamin D. We know about zinc. We know what we can do to keep our body healthy. Read about it. Follow it. Be careful about what you eat to stay strong and exercise. That's number one. Taking a vaccine, and we call these vaccines, but they're still experimental biological agents to me.
Exactly.
Because they don't meet the criteria. Although I understand that vaccine definition is being changed now by mainstream.
Of course.
Which is scary.
That's what they do.
And here's the important thing people have to know. Taking medicine, whether it's a shot in your arm or by mouth, typical medications get metabolized over a period of time, which means your body breaks it down, uses what it needs, breaks it down. And that's why you take another dose, because that drug, that medication doesn't last in your body. Our body works on it, breaks these complex molecules down, and you excrete them. This is what happens. So you take another dose, another dose.
It detoxifies them.
Right. This is normal. This is normal. People might not realize it, but that's important. Why am I saying this? Is because this new biological agent, at least the one from Pfizer and Moderna, and most likely the one from Johnson & Johnson, are not medicines that way. They don't get broken down. They are designed to go into your system and keep working until the day you die. If anybody could, right? Am I wrong on that, Len?
No, you're exactly right. All three of them are like that in an indirect sort of way.
Right. So people need to know that. So I say that with this kind of passion, so you can read about it and follow up and ask your doctor. Anybody will have to agree who knows. If they don't agree, they don't know. So I stand by my statement, which means, are you willing to put something in your system that will not go away, that will continue to make, as you just said, a very specific antibody? This is not what our bodies normally do. We make broad spectrum antibodies, and only after our body's immune system and natural killer cells have taken care of the problem.
That's right.
These are prophylactic experimental drugs.
That's right.
That are being given during the peak of a problem, a pandemic issue that is really being created because of this insanity, Len.
Yeah, well, we need to start doing our own research. And if we don't do our own research, we're going to be watching what's available and what's crammed down our throats. Most of America gets up at 6 a.m, comes home at 6 p.m. You have dinner, you play with the kids for a little while, and you're back in bed because you got to get up early the next morning. And we're doing that 5 or 6 days a week. when do you have time to learn all the stuff that we're talking about? You basically don't. And
Yes.
even then, it's complicated. It's so complicated that most doctors haven't got a clue about the kinds of things we're talking about. When I talk to my colleagues, they're saying, look, I'm a cardiologist. I can't be bothered with this. Let's talk to the infectious disease guys. And then
Right.
you talk to them and they say, well, this is what the CDC says. And it's like, oy vey, what are you talking about? You can't approach it that way. You've got to study it in great detail. And because I understand that you can't, because you're, first of all, you're not educated. You know, I went to medical school for a lot of years and for residency and training, and have had 50 years of practice. And we put in, Francesco and I put in 15 or 100 hours or more studying this. And we are having a hard time putting some of it together. So I don't expect you to be able to do it with the ease that we do, but still it's what you've got to do. So maybe what you need to do is talk to more people, see who
Yeah.
resonates with you. What does your heart say? And what is your mind saying? What's your holistic approach to this thing that makes some kind of sense, that gets you on the track that's right? We have to find the right way to do whatever it is we do in life. If we do that, we're on the right track. But this business of swallowing the whole thing, hook, line, and sinker, has gotten us where we are. And now the guys who have been the mainstream people are starting to pick it apart. And that's what's happening.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for people to backpedal. But I ask people to go to the pharmaceutical company websites and prove me wrong when I say that they all tell you this will not stop transmission. Their quote unquote vaccine does not stop transmission of COVID. It does not prevent you from getting COVID. Please hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These two statements are part of the fallacies that the media has been telling you, not directly, but by getting you to rush out to a shot. Because you say, I'm going to get jabbed, I'm going to get my vaccine because it's going to keep me from getting COVID. No, neither Moderna nor Pfizer nor AstraZeneca nor Johnson & Johnson will ever say that, because it's not true.
Yeah. Well,
Right, Len? Am I wrong on that?
no, of course you're right.
So transmissibility is not prevented. It's not even slowed down. They can't prove that. Keeping you from getting COVID in the future, it doesn't. It's designed, these experimental agents that the FDA approved on a temporary emergency basis are
That's right.
only designed to lessen the effect when you get COVID.
That's exactly right.
Lessen the symptoms.
You can't even say that it's safe. You know, they say it's safe and effective. Well, for the very temporary, short-term time, it may lessen your symptoms and make you feel better. But there's no evidence, like Francesco saying, that it stopped the spread of the virus. And it is
Impossible
setting
to
the
say
stage
that.
for the loss of our innate immune system, which is what has gotten us through history to this time, so that we have some way of protecting ourselves against viruses that are in the environment all the time. Our bodies do this every day. They're very smart. But if you take that away because of what this thing is doing, we're going to lose all that. And there are going to be a lot of people who are in big trouble. You know, you can make the prediction that we should stop this vaccine madness now. Stop it right now, because shortly it may be too late.
And
And
again,
that's
we're not against the vaccines. If
not at all.
you know, if you really want to take a vaccine, take it, but do a little research.
Yeah.
And there are vaccines that are designed to do certain things at certain times in the curve of an epidemiological breakout, we'll call it. At certain places in the curve, vaccines do great things. And most vaccines were given after the big rush of a problem, not while the curve is going up. So basically, we're putting ourselves in a complex situation. We're giving our bodies a lot more work to do, because we're actually suppressing the immune system while it's making these new specific antibodies, while at the same time, as you said, this COVID virus, just like all the other viruses, survive on mutations. Humans survive by not mutating. That's why we stay humans. Viruses survive by mutating. So we've got to understand the most fundamental textbook information to know how to work with this. And that means rely on your natural immunity.
That's true. And it knows how to sift through it, and which ones to destroy and which ones not to. We actually have more viruses in our body than we do microbes. There are
Mm.
billions, there are trillions of viruses in our body that help us to evolve. They're not just our enemy. We coexist with them in a peaceful way. So what you've heard tonight is the Voice of Reason's message. This is something that you're going to have to do something about now, or we're running the risk of seeing a major catastrophe. Stopping the vaccine at this point now is going to be a huge thing for the FDA, the CDC, for the NIH, and the World Health Organization. I can't see them backing up, but God help us if they don't at least look at some of the science now and change the course of action that we have. So
Yeah.
that's the message of the Voice of Reason. And it's heartfelt from both of us. So
Amen.
I hope you've heard our message, and I hope you'll tune in again on Thursday as we'll be doing another show as a follow-up on some of this stuff. So thank you for listening. Francesco, God bless you for
God
all
bless
that
you.
you do to
Thank you
make
so
this
much.
happen. Thank you, David, for all the information that you've gotten for us. You
He's
say
amazing. Yeah.
we can't do all the things that we do by ourselves. We have to have a team of people. I think we're doing the work of about 15 people between ourselves and David. So God bless us too. So good night. Have a good week. We'll see you on Thursday night.